Hey y'all, this is David, the Georgia photographer. Today, I want to talk about Robin Wong's video and where he was talking about where the state of the camera industry is headed as far as he's concerned, or where he thinks it should go. First of all, I tend to agree with most of what he said. He's talking about how cameras over the years haven't really changed. They still look like this. They've looked like this for 35, 45 years now. You know, the shutter button's on this side, it's got a hand grip, it's got a lens mount. Some of them have a little flash, you know, they have a hot shoe on the top center, and various knobs and buttons. And as of the last 20 years, they've got a little digital display on them. That's where he's talking about things have kind of gotten stagnant. This is one of the areas I tend to agree with him on. I really think that the next real innovation in a camera body is going to be modularity. Being able to put a grip on either side so left-handed shooters can actually run the camera left-handed. Right now, there's only such a thing, from what I could tell, as right-handed cameras. You can't get a left-handed camera. You have viewfinders that are fixed to the camera. Now there's like the Leica monochrome, I think, has a removable viewfinder. That's a unique thing. But I believe at some point this will be able to be mounted in the center, the left, or the right, or none at all. You can just take it off and run the display screen if you want. Some people like to shoot like that. There's a whole generation of people that have grown up using their smartphones to take photos, and they're used to looking at the display on the back, so they shoot this way. You know, they're doing it like this, and it works fine for them. They don't need a viewfinder. Make that an accessory that you would buy if you wanted it. You know, simplify the design, but make it like the new cine cameras you're seeing, where you have the sensor body and then all of the devices that you want on your sensor body you buy and attach to it. Whether you want storage, you know, do you want to record the 2 card slots or one? Well, you just buy one hard drive, or you know, or have an internal hard drive. You can put a couple of terabytes in it real easy. Make the camera modular to where you can actually just put on the componentry that you want and not have to buy this cookie cutter design that we've been served for the last 50 years. The mirrorless design has gotten a lot smaller from the DSLR design. You know, basically all this flange space here coming out on this lens was part of the mirror box, where the mirror moves up and down out of the way. That was a necessary component in the film days. With a single lens reflex camera, you're looking in through a prism, down off a mirror, out the front of the lens. Well, now we're not doing that. The camera is still laid out as if it were, but we're not doing that. The information is hitting the sensor, it's doing a bunch of electrical math, and then it's showing it on a little TV right here. And because of that, that doesn't constrain this camera to this profile. They're using this profile because that's what we're used to seeing. You are liberated from that when you go to the mirrorless design. That's why you're seeing things like the different versions of cameras that Fuji's making with, they're doing homages to this camera and that, but ultimately it's liberated them from the mirror box. So they're able to put the viewfinder in different places, you know, and things of that nature. I think the next big thing for the body is going to be that global shutter. Once you get to a global shutter, you don't have a mechanical shutter in there anymore, and it'll be a purely electronic shutter. The only thing what you'll do is when you choose a shutter speed, and they'll use that term for a period of time, and ultimately I think that term will change to something like exposure time or something of that nature, because what it'll be is it'll be the time the sensor is left to read the data coming through the lens to it. And that's how you'll get your slow shutters. You know, when you want to take a light trail or whatever, you'll press the shutter and then it'll read for that amount of time, and then it'll do all that mathematical averaging and give you the output of it. It's ultimately doing that now, but mechanically it's blocking off the beginning and the finish of that information capture, and it doesn't have a way of reading the whole sensor at once. So once they perfect that whole taking the data from the sensor as a single read at once, that becomes that global shutter read, you'll eliminate the mechanical shutter and the cameras will get even smaller immediately. It'll also make the cameras more cost effective to manufacture, because you don't have all that mechanism in there. You eliminate all that shutter mechanism. I think the next big thing that's coming to the cameras will be internal memory, just like Robin said. If you could put a couple of terabytes in the camera, maybe 1 terabyte internal flash drives, then you will be able to write to those drives at blinding speeds. You will be able to eliminate the need for external cards. You could even add a card slot if you wanted to offload cards, offload data to a card for handoff use for whatever. But I think you could easily come up with a high-speed USB port, download the camera directly. I don't have a problem with downloading from the camera. The memory cards do make it easier, but it does add the memory card and the card reader to the process, and that slows down the whole thing. If you went to internal memory and then you had a good high-speed Wi-Fi or Bluetooth connection, you could easily run through that and just offload them rapidly, But at the end of the day, I think internal memory would be amazing. Just imagine how fast a buffer would clear if you were writing to a literal flash hard drive, a solid state hard drive. It would be blinding fast. So yeah, I think that's a really good idea. Another thing he brings up is SIM connectivity. I'm not so big on SIM connectivity. It's okay. I get the reason why, because people in large cities where they have really strong internet and things like that could immediately shoot and it be uploading directly to their cloud storage and all that, and it's super convenient for them. But I live in a remote area where there isn't so much internet connectivity, and the cell service out here is very poor. So for me, if you made it to where it would only upload to the cloud, I wouldn't be able to use it. It just would make it almost impossible. I'd have to drive somewhere to be able to offload my camera. So because of that, I'm not a big proponent of that ideology. I still think there'll be some kind of hard fixed memory and editing locally on a computer via whether it be cable or wireless information transfer for a long time to come, probably the rest of my life. One other thing he brings up that is kind of controversial in my book is the touchscreen. He thinks the whole camera could be driven from the touchscreen, eliminating all of these buttons, okay? I get it. The buttons kind of make it look cluttered. I ain't worried about aesthetics. I'm worried about usefulness. The buttons allow me to access the camera while it's at my face, 1, and 2, quickly. You can assign these buttons to do critical things that you need to do routinely, and you can do them fast. I have waded through menus on here, and even if you go to this information menu, you still have to work your way through it, and that's time consuming and slow and painful and arduous. And even if you got good at it, it still isn't convenient. Even my iPhone camera isn't convenient because of that. So at the end of the day, I want the buttons. The next big thing I think is going to be in this part as well. I think lens design will be the next big breakthrough. I believe they're eventually going to be able to make plastic optically grade. I believe they're eventually going to make optical grade plastic as good as or better than glass. And at that point, the lenses will get significantly lighter immediately. To make anything out of plastic is cheaper than to make it out of glass. Right on time. Let's see what song we get today. Or do we get a song? Yeah. Sing a song. Okay. But I really think the lenses will be the next big breakthrough in weight reduction. There's no escaping length of glass to get effect from length of glass. If you need 200 millimeter focal length, you can't cheat that by making it shorter. That's physics. It's just impossible. But you can make it lighter and more efficient. And going to these lighter weight plastic housings and things, that's a step in that direction. I really think the glass elements is the next breakthrough, and they're working on it. That fluoride element idea that they put in that last 70 to 200 lens was a hint at that kind of technology. Fluoride glass is way lighter. How does that apply to modern cameras? You're seeing these cameras kind of run stagnant on innovation. They aren't really coming out with anything groundbreaking. They'll make a model and they'll put some features in it, but they'll leave some out so that next year they can put 1 or 2 of those in and make it a new version of this camera. And you'll see that like with this XT4 debacle. It's going to come out with IBIS. They could have put IBIS in XT3. They could have done it. They chose not to, because what they needed was something for the XT4. And that's what you're seeing. Deliberate incremental releases to keep you buying cameras. That's all it's for. You're not seeing breakthroughs like modular cameras or, you know, new technology in lenses. They're still making the lenses out of glass. I mean, they're just, here we go with this one now. What you're not seeing is, you're not seeing new breakthrough designs from the big names in the industry. All right, that's just it. You know, you're seeing the little companies making forward-thinking cameras, like that new little GoPro competitor that's a little modular camera. You're seeing that sort of stuff. Until these guys jump on that bandwagon, you're really not going to start seeing that breakthrough. And I think they're going to ride the tech they have in the vault all the way to the end, and then start releasing the new tech. I mean, that's just the way it is. I really see that's how they're going to do this, because they're trying to capitalize on the entire industry. That's their job. So what do y'all think about this? Do y'all think that they're not innovating fast enough? I mean, they're coming out with camera releases rapidly, like once or twice a year now. It's pretty high paced. But yeah, leave me a comment, let me know. And if you haven't already done it, subscribe to the channel and watch a video, or subscribe to the channel and watch a video, one of the two. But until next time, get the camera you have out and go take some pictures with it. All right, we'll see y'all later. Bye-bye.